So let me introduce myself. My name is Francisco, but you can also call me Paco. I'm the manager here, and today I'm going to be your guide. Any question you have, please ask me. If I know, I will answer, and if I don't, I will make something up. Okay? So please,
Good answer.
Mister, how many cup of coffee do you drink a day? Zero? One, two,
Tres.
All over the world, there are four species of coffee plants. We have Canephora, Arabica, Liberica, and Excelsa. But when it comes to commerce, when it comes to huge amounts of coffee production, we will only take in two kinds of coffee plants, Arabica and Canephora, which is also known as Robusta. Robusta in Spanish means strong, big. So when it comes to Robusta, as you can tell, mister, the plant is quite high, and this is just a tiny example. They grow up to 2 or 3 meters high. So that's the size of a Robusta, of an average Robusta plant. As you can tell, the stalk is quite strong. Even a strong wind wouldn't take it down. And also the coffee beans that you will find have the double amount of caffeine compared to Arabica coffee. Okay? So, mister, you would say if this is easier to harvest, if this is more resistant, and it has more caffeine, why shouldn't we just plant or harvest this Robusta all over Mexico?
Flavor.
Well, the flavor, exactly. This one is going to give us a huge amount of flavors, a variety of flavors. It could be citric, it could be acid, it could be bitter, it could be sour also, could be cherry flavors. So that's why here in Mexico, when it comes to quality, we rather plant this Arabica plant. Okay? So what you will find here in Bola de Oro will be only Arabica Arabica coffee plants. Okay, begins. Here, even though you cannot realize it right now, there are some coffee beans already been growing inside this seedling. So the first phase is what we call the soldier. It looks like this because it has a green helmet and it's like standing still. So that's why we call a little soldier. This is the really beginning of this germination, and then we have something called butterfly. It looks exactly like this. This is a little butterfly. They will be like stage 2 of this germination process. If the leaves are not green or the leaves are not like standing, that will mean that something is going wrong with our germination process, and we have to check it out. What's going on? If the little soldier doesn't show up, or if the leaves are not green enough, that means something is going wrong, and we have to pay attention on every single stage of this germination process. Okay?
What is her name? What's yours is?
Panchito.
Panchito. Mine's Lele.
I'm gonna be like hosting this little plant until it's grown enough as to be moved to the real plantation. Okay? If you try to move the stalk, you realize it's already strong. That means this plant is almost ready to be moved into the real plantation. Okay? If we do not have this kind of strong stalks, once that we move the plant outside, the wind or maybe the animals or the rain will completely obliterate. The plant I have here, it's sad. Okay? The leaves are facing down. And that's why, that's because something went wrong in this kind of plant. Whether was didn't receive enough water, or maybe the coffee bean was like broken, or was maybe damaged, or maybe didn't receive enough air. We don't know what happened here, but something is going wrong. If you compare your plant with mine, that one is a good plant. The leaves are facing up, are quite green. And this one does. Okay, so this won't give us a quality coffee. This won't give us the coffee that we want. Okay, so this will be ruled out later on. Aquí tenemos, por ejemplo, unas rociadoras de cobre bastante viejas. Aquí tenemos algunas podadoras que ya son un poquito más tecnológicas. Use for collecting the coffee. We can see some sprinklers here. This is to mow the grass. We have also some drills, and the baby or the favorite tool is this. It's a Jeep Willis 1962 that was owned by some of the original owners of this plantation, and they would use this little Jeep to go around to go and check all the finca, all the plantation, because it's a huge plantation. Okay, so that little tool that we see right there, it's a tenate. Okay, despite the years, nobody has been able to replace that little tenate, because it helps the piscador, or the one who's collecting the coffee, piscador, that's how we call it, to have both hands free, so he can collect one by one the little coffee beans. This is when it comes to collecting coffee, we cannot just take all the beans easily and put it into a sack. We have to pick one by one, because we need to pick only the ripe coffee beans. Okay, the red ones, the round ones with no damage on the beans. If we just collect every single coffee bean that we see, we won't have the quality that we are looking forward to. Okay, so that's why here in Mexico, maybe in some other countries they're already using like big machines to collect the coffee, but here in Mexico we're still doing it traditionally, which is by using this.
Better in Mexico.
Yeah, that's why the Mexican coffee is better. The original owner was an Italian. He came from Italy. I don't know exactly which city, and he saw all these fields that originally weren't harvesting any coffee. There were some orange and lime plantations here. So this Italian came. He saw all this potential, and he bought this plantation, and he turned it into a coffee plantation. Okay, he bought all this place in 1902, but it wasn't till 1910 when the coffee production started. This railroad connects Mexico City with Veracruz Harbor, which is one of the main exit and entrance of all the importation and exportations in Mexico. So 50 years ago, the train would stop right here. People would pack the train or load the train with all this coffee. It would continue its way to Veracruz Harbor, and it would export all these coffee beans. Originally, all the production here were sent to Europe. Wasn't for local consumption. Was until 1975 when the owners turned into local market. They start selling the coffee here in Mexico. But before that, all the coffee was to be sent to Europe. You get to see any ripe coffee bean, which is a red one. You grab it and you put it here in my tenate. Not all the coffee beans grow equally fast. Okay, a few ones are already red, already ripe, but the majority of the coffee beans are already green. On the first months, around January or February, there is a flowering. Okay, all these plantations are covered with some tiny white flowers that have a really nice aroma, like a sweet aroma,
jasmine?
Exactamente, jasmine aroma. Okay. And when these little flowers they fall, that's when the countdown starts. Okay, takes 9 months, the same as a baby, for all the coffee beans to grow. Okay, the flowering this year was really like late, so it happened in between May and June. So the collection or the pisca, what we call a collection, is gonna take a little bit longer. Should be around maybe November or December. Because of this, we were shortage on water. The rains took a lot to start, so that's why all is gonna be delayed. All this collection picking is gonna be delayed. Okay.
Is the flavor different?
Exactly. I was explaining to them that we may find these kind of coffee plants on lower altitudes, but they are richer in oxygen. Here, the higher we go, the less oxygen these plants receive, and the less oxygen they receive, the longer they take for all these coffee beans to be grown. So the longer it takes, the more flavors we'll find, because the sugars will take more time to develop. Also the flavors will take more time to develop, and that will help us to have like more, how can I explain, like more substances inside this the coffee bean. Okay? A quick maturing is gonna give us not such a flavored coffee. Okay? So that's why it's important to go to high altitudes. We can go higher also, but if it's too cold, the plant will die. Okay? So all these trees that you see here, mister, are providing shade. If we take out all these trees and let the sun hit the plants all day long, it's going to burn the plant because it's going to make it a little bit warmer, up to 34, up to 35 Celsius, and that's going to burn our coffee beans. If you pay attention, you may find some coffee beans that have been exposed to sunlight, and they are already burned. So this is our higuera. It's a 250 years old tree.
Wow.
As you can tell, the weather here, the climate has changed. It's way fresher. This huge tree and all these hundreds of leaves allow the humidity to remain here. Also the moisture and all this kind of weather that the coffee plants need will remain right here, okay? This is our natural air conditioning, no electricity needed. In some places like Central America or South America, they got rid of all these trees. In all the spots where the trees were located, now they're planting more coffee plants. That way they're gonna they have more production now. They can produce even more coffee.
So what are these spiders called again?
Hilo de seda.
Hilo de seda. Silk spiders.
Silk spiders.
Wow.
Harmless. I mean, there is a guide back at the museum who grabs the spiders and put it on his.
Wow.
I'm not that brave, but they're not poisonous.
They're not poisonous.
They're very
I mean,
cool.
not for us.
I see a lot of them are missing legs. Like that one back there.
Yeah, maybe they went into a fight.
I got your leg.
It will grow again.
It'll grow again.
We collected a lot of coffee, ripe coffee. That is like a little bit like this one. And from now on, we're gonna call this cherry coffee, café cereza. That's the name we give to this, okay? We won't say ripe coffee, we'll say cherry. We're gonna help us with these huge machines that by friction are gonna give us some coffee. Cherry coffee. The outcome is a sticky coffee bean with some kind of sugar like protecting the coffee bean. This substance is called mucilage or mucilage.
Mucilage.
Mucilage. Is that
Mucilage. Sounds good.
Basically, sugar protecting the coffee bean. Okay. Now we have to ferment this coffee. Fermentation is basically the reaction between water and sugar. Okay, that is going to create alcohol. We are not interested in alcohol. We are only interested in getting rid of all this sugar that is covering the coffee bean. So we're going to fill these huge pools. All these pools that you see here are going to be filled with coffee beans. We're going to let the fermentation begins. Fermentation is going to take from 18 to 35 hours, depending on the weather conditions. The warmer, the faster. And after 35 hours, we'll have this coffee bean without the sugar, without the mucilage that it was protecting this coffee bean. Okay, we need to get rid of all this sugar in order to toast or to roast these coffee beans. Okay, and we're gonna keep drying the coffee until it's ready to be roasted.
Do they do anything with the juice that comes off of taking the bean off?
With the husk.
Yeah.
Okay, usually we could use those for the farm. I mean, for the plantation, like this kind of to make the plants to grow a little stronger.
Right.
Also, you can make you add some hot water on fresh husk. You have caffeine drink. It won't taste like coffee. It's gonna taste like passion fruit, something. Like,
really?
Yeah, because it's just a husk.
Where can
It's
you
a
get
fruit.
that at?
And we put some hot water. It has to be fresh. If you let it dry, it won't taste good. And you have some caffeine drink with a lot of caffeine, but no coffee flavor at all. ferment the coffee, we have to dry the coffee. We have to keep it drying. There are two ways to do it. The traditional way is the one that are being shown, which is spreading all the coffee beans through these jars, these huge jars, and keep turning or flipping over the coffee. Because the sunlight is going to hit the coffee and it's going to make it dry. But if we leave it on one side only, it's going to dry one side, and the bottom is going to get wet. It's going to keep, it's going to stay humid. Okay, and we need the coffee to be dry equally on all the sides in order to be a good coffee. Okay, so you want to try a little bit. You will have to do this every day, like 12 hours a day. Keep flipping over the coffee in order to make it dry. Okay, no, it's like shoveling but backwards. Okay.
Good job, Kenny.
This is like a handcraft method or way, but we depend on sunlight, we depend on the weather, and we depend on the size of the jar. If you have a huge jar like this one, you could dry tons of coffee. But what happens if you have a small space with without these huge jars to dry your coffee? I mean, you won't be able to process that much coffee. So that's why all these benefits, these beneficios, these farms, were built into huge, like hollow or spaces like with a lot of room in order to have all this coffee being dry. Coffee dryer. This is the most advanced way to dry the coffee. These huge pipes will turn with coffee inside. Up to 3 tons of coffee could be filled in one coffee dryer. It's gonna keep turning, and it's gonna hot air is gonna be like injected into these dryers. Over there we have some huge boilers, charcoal and wood boilers that will heat the water, and all this steam will go through these huge pipes directly into the coffee dryers. These help us to process more coffee and in lesser time. We do not depend here on the weather, whether it rains, it's sunlight, or it's snowing. These machines could keep drying coffee inside of it. Okay?
Does it make a difference in the flavor if it's sun dried?
Yeah, the handcraft way is way better.
Is it?
Because it's more traditional. I mean, it's only sunlight. And here, because we use some steam, some hot air, it's gonna make it a little bit less flavored. So that one is way better, but it's also way more pricey.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
From the beginning of this industrial process to this very moment, we've lost already 4/5 of the production. So let's say that we collected 250 kilos of cherry coffee. At this point, we only have 50 kilos left. That's the amount of loss in the coffee process. Why? Because we already peel it off, we fermented that coffee, we dried that coffee, and all the water that was inside the coffee evaporated, and that made it a little bit like lighter, the coffee. So that's why it's not that easy to produce a kilo of coffee. Okay? So when we want to harvest new coffee plants, this is the seed that we're gonna plant. Not the cherry coffee, not the green coffee. This is the one that is gonna provide us with another coffee plant. See?
Wow.
Please grab one. Not eat it.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
It's already got a color to it.
Hey.
It's el café pergamino.
These
que sale
beans
de la
will
secadora.
restart the
Okay?
entire coffee plantation of the world.
So, voy a explicarlo en inglés y de ahí nos vamos al español. So this is the coffee that is the result of this drying process, okay? This is pergamino coffee or oro coffee, also known gold coffee or pergamino. That's the name of this stage, okay? Can you peel it off, please? Okay.
Oh.
Has some husk still protecting this little seed. We have to get rid of this husk in order to continue the process. Please be my guest, and
I'll grab your.
we have to honor the video. Okay? So you have to go. I'm gonna put some new. Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Adam.
Vamos a ir tomando un granito. Este café pergamino, este café
There you go. Get it, Kenny.
They at least got weight to it too, you know. That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Shout out to the country collectors.
Green coffee is what we get from peeling off these auto coffees.
Oh wow,
Okay?
looks way different.
Yeah, this is green coffee,
that.
still alive, and we can store this coffee because I mean we only have 3 or 4 months of collection every year. As soon as we collect the coffee, we have to start processing it, and we have to go all. I mean the coffee has to undergo all the process till here. This is the moment when we can like storage this coffee because we only have one collection a year, and we have to split this coffee for the entire year. Okay, I mean people is drinking coffee every time of the year, and we only have one collection, so we have to like save some coffee for the rest of the year. So at this moment we can storage the coffee, and it's gonna stay fresh for 3 or 4 years. If we roast the coffee, that's when we start. The coffee will start diminishing, and once that it's roasted, it's gonna last only 6 months. Okay. So before roasting the coffee, that's when we can storage the coffee.
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. Up to 4
6
years.
months after roasting.
Exactly. Select the coffee once more, because the bigger the coffee, the better. The more flavors it's gonna add to our drink. Okay. The tiny coffees won't add flavor to our drink. So this machine is gonna start vibrating a lot, and the lesser, the small coffee beans will fall off first because they do not have that much weight. Okay, and the bigger ones will remain here on our machine. This measure system is called saranda. Saranda is basically the size of a coffee bean. It ranges from 1 to 20, being 1 the smallest one, and being 20 the biggest one. Here in Bola de Oro, we take from 14 to 15 or 18. That's the size of coffee beans that we use here in Bola de Oro. And it's going to depend on each coffee producer which size is going to take. I mean, if you take also the smaller sizes, you will have more coffee, but it won't be quality coffee. Okay? And if you go only on you focus only on the biggest one, you will have a really good quality coffee, but the amount is going to be lesser. Okay? So it's up to you. I mean, it's going to depend on each coffee producer. I mean, from which sizes is gonna accept, is gonna take. Okay? And someone is gonna buy all the tiny beans. I mean, maybe coffee hospital, maybe Walmart, maybe Oxxo is gonna buy the tiny ones because they're looking forward into they're looking for amount more than quality. Okay, this is an electronic coffee sorter. It's gonna do the same. It's gonna help us ruling out coffee beans, but now electronically. Okay. So this is the short, brief story of the brand, Bola de Oro brand. Started in 1902 with the purchase of this plantation. 1910, that's when they start exporting the coffee. But it isn't till 1975 when they opened the first coffee place, when they were selling only roasted coffee. They weren't preparing any beverage, they were only offering roasted coffee. And then 1993, that's when they opened the first cafeteria, and that's where they now start also creating beverage on making coffee drinks. Before that, Bola de Oro was only exporting and roasting coffee. That was the business of Bola de Oro until 1990. Plant or beneficio that worked till 2018, and it was shut down due to the scarcity of water. Yeah, I mean, we ran out of water for processing all this coffee, so now they moved all this processing plant to another beneficio, which is near Coatepec, a little closer than to us. Taster, he's our specialized coffee taster. He's gonna say it in Spanish, and I'm gonna be translating for you guys. Okay?
Here.
Sí, hay unas palabras que no, creo que no tienen ni siquiera traducción.